did not have hot water in a shower. Best shower I ever had. I'd go in there, and if it wasn't for the mosquitoes, I'd stay in there all morning long. But the mosquitoes, it was lunch, it was breakfast time for them. Because if you took a shower in the morning, it was breakfast time for the mosquitoes. At night, dinner time for the mosquitoes. Because they lived in the showers, okay? I'm just telling you that. But I tell you what, I met Chris, and we bunked together, and we got them. And brother, I tell you, I thank you so much. I thank you for your love for Jesus most of all. But I thank you more because you love these kids. And it shows each and every day. Listen, we're not here to sit there and pump each other up. That's not what we're trying to do. But I want you guys to understand the relationship between us and our relationship between our Father in heaven. And that's where it's at. You know, we're talking about identity. How many of you got a Facebook page? How many of you got a Twitter? Lincoln? Or Lycan? Whatever it is, L-I-N-K-I-N. Lycan? You got one of those? I got one. I don't have one of those. Really? You need to get up with it. What about Snapchat? Anybody got Snapchat? I got 2 Snapchats just a few minutes ago from my niece. And I'm fixing to Snapchat her in a minute and show her DNOW weekend. Okay? So we're going to do that here in a minute. But anyway, what is your identity on social media? You ever thought about that? Do you really portray who you are on Facebook? Or are you someone else? Let me ask you this question. Is it easier to talk to people on Facebook than it is face-to-face? I had a real cool song that I did back years and years ago, and if you want to look it up, it's called the Facebook song. And the reason why you can know it's the legitimate one is the guy's got like this. He looks like an Amish dude. He's got this long goatee, beard. He's really cool, but it's called the Facebook song. And in this song, it talks about what if Facebook died? What if the internet went out? I'm going to tell you what, if the internet all of a sudden went out, half this room, 3/4 of this room, 99.9% of this room, 110% of this room would just fall on the floor and die. Including my wife and myself, all right? But yes, it talks about, what if Facebook died? Would we carry little sheets around saying, it's me? That's my profile. Look at it. And my name is Jeffrey M. Hesley. I'm married, got 2 kids, 2 grandkids, one on the way. Do we really do that? How many of us wear a billboard that says, this is who I am? But you do. Ephesians 2, verse 10 says, for we are His workmanship. His. Not mine. Okay, I can only take you so far. I can only give you what I can give you. I can't give you eternal salvation. If you're looking for me to give that to you tonight, then you're in the wrong place. I can't give that to you. I can show you how to get it. I can introduce you to the person who has it, but I'm not that person. His workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works. Now wait a minute. Works done, when we're talking about this works in this context, we're not talking about going out and you're going to do something for little old ladies and the orphans and that's what's going to get you in heaven. That's not it. It's who you are, which God prepared beforehand that we should walk with Him. Now, I want you to understand something. We are in a very delicate time in our world. Our world's in a sad shape. You have no idea. I think we've got approximately, we don't have a debit count right now, but we got approximately 130 students right here. You give up your Friday night, you give up your Saturday, and your Sunday morning. I commend you for that. Because honestly, you could be at a whole lot of other places, right?
Amen.
You could be at the mall. You could be skating. You could be wherever. You could be at home doing nothing. You know, but you're here. And what I want you to understand something. Luke 12 says it clearer than I could ever say it. This is how God knows you. He's even counted the hairs on your head. Fear not. You are more valuable than the sparrows. Let me ask you a question. Now, let's see something here. Now, Chris, Brother Chris, where you at, bro? You don't have as much hair as I do. You get yours cut pretty thin. Let's see. Now, there's a bunch of you guys. See, you're a lot younger than I am. But can you imagine counting every one of those hairs? Let me ask you a question. Do you think you could do it?
No. Yeah.
Why not? Do what? Some of you might be listening. Wait a minute now. No, I'm not going to pick on nobody, so I'm going to be nice. Some of the people that I know that are even younger than I am don't have a whole lot of hair. You know, and I got a buddy of mine that's just a little older than I am. And the reason why he shaves his head is because it became too quick, it became too easy to count the hairs on his head, so he just shaved them off, both of them. Okay? So, I'm not joking. And he's a pastor, but that's all right. But listen, you've got value. Why would God take the time to know how many hairs are on your head? You ever thought about that? Do you think it's true? It's got to be true. If you believe the Bible, it's got to be true, right? So he knows every hair that's on your head. He also knows your true identity. That's what we're going to talk about this weekend. We're going to be focused on your identity, who you believe you really are. How many of you are one way at home and a different way at school? Don't raise your hands. I don't see no hands. I just want you to think about it. I'm going to be real honest with you. I've not always been in the ministry. Matter of fact, this is the furthest thing from my mind when I was sitting in your chairs. I didn't want to be in ministry. I had no desire to be in ministry. My grandfather was a Baptist minister. My uncle was a Baptist minister. I was brought up in a Christian home. But honestly, folks, I saw the ugly side of church. I really did. I saw some of the ugly inside the church. And I sat there and I said, well, that's the way they're going to treat pastors. I can go out here and work at XYZ plant, make big money, drive nice cars, buy me a house, get married, and have the American dream. But I want to share something with I want you to share with me, and I want you to go back in time with me. Way back in 1982. Wow, that's a long time ago. Nobody in this room was even, most of you people weren't even thought of, even the adults, okay? Let's get rid of it. I was in high school. I was a junior in high school. And I had just turned 16. And this little red-headed girl would meet me at my locker. And I don't know how in the world she did it, but man, she got from my locker that was at one end of the school. And she was at my English class before I could get out of class. In today's time, she would be called a stalker. And if I'm lying, she said, right over there, you can go ask her. I'm telling you the straight up truth. I tell her today, I said, honey, if we were in today's time, you would be called a stalker. Okay? But she saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. Did you get that?
Yeah.
She saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. And she tells me all the time, she said, first time she laid eyes on me, she said, I'm going to marry that young man. Now y'all got to remember something. She cooks good. When I was your age, I weighed 145 pounds, wringing wet, and I was 6'3". My mother-in-law sat there and she says, I can count your ribs. And that was true. I did not have any meat on my bones. And it's a far cry from there. So listen, I'm your future! All you skinny people, look at me! I cannot wait! You think I'm kidding, don't you? Here I am! True story. My son got married about 5 years ago. I'm going to tell you this. My son got married about 5 years ago. He looks just like when I was his age. If you put my senior picture and his senior picture, you can't tell them apart. Honestly, I couldn't deny that kid if I had to. Okay? So, Mark came up to me and said, Dad, I want you to marry me and Britt, and we're so in love. And I said, okay, great. And I went up to his future wife. I said, Britt, I said, honey, I love you, and I want to do anything I can for you. But I said, I want you to understand one thing. If you don't like this, you don't need to marry that. I said, because once I say I pronounce you, there ain't no going back. And I was dissing this because I knew who they were. But back to 1983. This little redheaded lady, this little redheaded girl, she stood about 5'1" and a half. When you're short, you get that half inch. You say, amen? Amen. But she saw something in me. Now look, I went ahead and I was one of them people that I could find a loophole and a box of Oreo cookies. And I found a loophole. So I graduated when I was a junior in high school. I didn't go my senior year. I called him up and said, hey, I got 22 credits back in. He only had to have 18. I said, I got 22. I said, I'm out of here. I said, you quit school? I said, nope, graduate. I said, just send my diploma to the mail. I said, you can't do that. I said, well, yes, I can. Went to the school board and they said, sure enough. It only says you have to have 18 credits. It doesn't say you have to have 4 years of high school. They changed it. Now you have 4 years of high school. Sorry, guys. Blame me, all right? But I knew at that point, see, the reason why I had to graduate is because me and that little redhead girl were getting married. Now, her mom and dad knew that we loved each other. No, she was not pregnant. We didn't have kids until 2 years after we were married, so that was the longest pregnancy I've ever seen in my life. It was 3 years. The yes ladies, you always correct the man. So anyway, here's the deal, folks. At that point in my time, I was running away from God. I knew at the age, now get this, stick with me. I knew at the age of 13, that God was calling me into ministry. And guess what? I said to God, no. I look back at it and I'm wondering, man, why didn't he just thump me on my stupid looking head? You know, God's got to be merciful for a 13-year-old, 14-year-old, 15-year-old, 16-year-old, 25-year-old to sit there and tell God, no, I want to do that. I want to do this. Well, God had has a sense of humor. He really does. Because he'll give you just enough rope to let you hang yourself. My wife and I got married in 1983, in Illinois, 1983. We've been married for 32 years. Same person. I appreciate that. I've worked really hard at it. No, I'm just teasing. God let me live the lifestyle that I want to live. I bought new cars every year. Sometimes I bought two. We built our first house when we were 19 years old. And we lived in it until about 3 years ago. We raised 2 kids in that house. One of them was a big house, but it was a nice house. 3-bedroom, brick house, right there in Henderson, Kentucky. Built that rascal when he was 19. Well, I don't know, I couldn't tell you how many cars we bought. Spent money like it was water. I told Lori, I says, when we got married, I couldn't account for about $6,000 in about 2 months' time that I don't know where it went to. I didn't do drugs, so I couldn't do that. I didn't drink, so I couldn't drink it up. We just blew it on nothing, junk. Well, in 1988, God had enough. 1988, God had enough. I was working one day and we were running, I used to work with it's called Acura right now, but back then it was called Firestone Steel Products. We made semi-tractor trailer wheels. And one morning I was inspecting at my post. We were running a lot of bad parts. And those wheels around about 100 pounds apiece. And I was taking them things and throwing them in a basket just as fast as we get through it. Because they were rotten. They were just wobbling all along. We couldn't get the press fixed. The die wouldn't do right. It just made the wheels not round. Well, I was on a platform about that step height right there. And they just put a new platform up. And I really wasn't used to it. Now look, these are size 14s. Okay, I got a firm foundation. When I go to beach, aircraft try to start asking for clearance to land. Okay? That's just the way it is. Well, I stepped off that little platform right there. And I had a 100-pound wind in my hand. And I landed right there on top of that kneecap, crushed it. Well, we thought it was just sprain. In fact, the doctor said, I think it's just a real bad sprain. That's before they did any x-rays or anything like that. They got me up in the nurse's office to cut my pants off because it was swollen so bad that they couldn't get the pants up over my knee. You know, look, you don't have, you know, all your vanity goes out to woodwork when they're working on you, okay? Well, long story short, I had a real good doctor in Evansville, and he looked at me and he says, Jeff, he says, I think the best I can do is to get you to walk with a cane. I was 24 years old. I said, do what? He said, I think the best that I can do for you is make it where you can at least walk with a cane. I had 2 babies. Well, actually, I had 1 baby and 1 on the way. I was 24 years old. He says, Jeff, he says, I can get you on permanent disability. He said, because I don't think you'll ever work again. God thumped me on the head. He not only thumped me on the head, he thumped me on the back, and he put me face down on the dirt. He wasn't done. I had surgery in August. On September, September, I'm sorry. Prior to that, in August, my grandfather, who was a father to me, died. Yeah, I lost my father. I lost my grandfather in August. I had surgery in September. A real good friend of mine that I just adored was blown up in an electrical explosion at an electrical plant, and they let us go. When they let you go back to ICU at any time, that means you're not going to make it. Chances are you're not. That's going to be the last time you're going to see somebody. That he got better, and as a matter of fact, he's fine today. Praise God. But God wasn't done with me. God sat there and after surgery, I mean, in the news here recently, a basketball player that's got all the blood clots in his lung. You heard about that? A basketball player, I think he plays for Miami, is that right? Miami Heat or something like that. Well, I had a blood clot break off my leg, travel through my main artery, the size of a quarter. Think about how big a quarter is. Think about how big your veins are. It went through my heart. Don't know why. I should have been dead. I should have been dead before it even hit my heart. 9 out of 10 people, actually 9.5 out of 10 people, it goes straight to the brain and kills you instantly. If it doesn't kill you before it goes to your heart. I'm 0.5% looking at you. It went to my lung. Do you understand 0.5%? You want to see a miracle? Just look right here. God wasn't done with me. I was in intensive care for 15 days. For 15 days, you have to understand something. I just went through this with a buddy of mine. For 15 days, I had no restrictions. People could come and go as they please. Right beside my nice little bed there, I had this nice tray, about this big. And it's heaped up, and they had it covered. And I'm an inquisitive type of person. So one day I asked the nurse, I said, what is on the tray? She said, sir, you don't want to tell me. She says, I don't want to tell you and you don't want to know. And I said, oh yeah, I want to know. It's in my room. She said, well sir, that is a chest splitter. If you throw any negative signs on these cables that are hooked to the office, there's going to be a team that's going to come in here and rip your chest open and do emergency surgery on you right here and there. Correct? See, God has a way of putting you on your back, so the only place you can do is look above. Oh, I've made a lot of deals. Lord, if you get me through this, I'll do whatever you want. I'll get like Jonah. Get me out of the belly of this fish and I'll do whatever you want me to do. I'll do whatever you want me to do. But like most people, when God gives you that second chance, what do? Go back to our old ways. I want to tell you this because I want you to see my identity. I want you to understand where I'm at. It was from 1988 to the year 2000 before I really stepped into the ministry. I got to play again. My doctor, if you notice, I don't walk with a cane. Most of them I don't even walk with a limp. I had a very, very good surgeon. And he will remark to this day that it is nothing but the grace of God that I'm walking. He does not take credit for it. I tell you this so that you understand you're not alone. And I want you to understand that when you face crisis in your life, regardless of what it is, listen, there is not a person in this room right now that doesn't have some type of stress. Right or wrong?
Amen.
Adults included. There's not anyone in this room that's not come into this auditorium with baggage. There's something going on at school. There's going on with your mom and dad. There's something just going on. People don't understand you. People don't like you. People just, they get in your way. They get in your face. They just, they don't understand me because they don't live my life. Because see, you have to be, and that's what I want to be this weekend. I want to be as transparent as I can. Take the wall down. Open that curtain. I love ministry. If Chris knew me 20 years ago, he wouldn't have been in the sales office. Because see, I lived one way at home, another way at work. And two sides. And two complete different sides. I had a person one day ask me at work, and they said, "Are you a Christian?" They didn't ask me, "Are you a Christian?" They didn't ask it like that. They asked me, "Are you a Christian?" Because he knew I'd gone to church. Listen, that's the words you don't want to hear, because it really makes you think. This weekend's about finding out who you are. You cannot find out who you are until you find out where you are. Explain that. When I was running from God, I didn't know who it was. I had no clue who I was. I was Mark and Michael's dad. I was Lori Hesley's husband. But I had no idea who I was. I had no direction. I had no youth pastor come up to me and just, love on me. But I had a lot of people for the church. And a lot of them for the church. But I'll tell you what, that night when I was in intensive care, one promise I did make to God and I kept. I told him, I said, "God, I don't care if I make it out of here or not, but I'm going to follow you. It may be the next 5 minutes, or it may be another 50 years. Only you know that, God. But I'm going to do my best." Now, did everything get rosy and peachy for me? No. Did I change overnight? No. Folks, it's a work in progress. It's kind of like this DNOW weekend thing that we're doing. We're kind of stumbling in. You guys don't realize it. I hope you don't anyway. But there's some things that we've got to tweak and we got to get right. But for all intents and purposes, life is not perfect. It's not perfect. I don't know what kind of baggage you've got going on. But I can tell you, come talk to me. Come talk to your youth pastor, whoever you came with. I'm guarantee you we can help you. Because I want you to know something. If you did not have any clue who God was, and you just came because somebody invited you, God's moving in your heart. I don't know, there might be people in here who consider themselves nerds, or prep, or what is it, skater now? They got skaters now. Is that one of them? No, that's gone now. What is it now? You don't have the skateboard guys anymore? No, that's kind of gone out. A few years ago, they used to call them skaters. But anyway, listen. Here's the deal. Here's the deal. Don't let anybody put a tag on you. Don't let anybody put a tag on you. If somebody comes up and says, oh, you're so-and-so. If you're a Christian, you can look at them and say, no, I'm a Christian. That's what I am. If you don't know Jesus, you don't know Jesus. And I hope tonight, before you close your eyes, you'll ask him to come into your life. Listen, I don't tell you that story. I don't tell you my testimony to sit there and for you to come up and say, oh, poor Jeff. Oh my gosh, I don't tell you that to scare you. I don't tell you that God's going to do that to you. But I will tell you this. You can take this Bible, you can read that rascal from cover to cover, and I'm going to promise you one thing. Everyone that has disobeyed God when he's called them to do something has met with a fate that was not pleasing. Think about it. Think about it. What happened to Jonah? Time out of the belly of the whale. What happened to Judas? He hung himself. He betrayed Christ and hung himself. Why? Because he wanted something. He wanted something that God knew he didn't need. Listen, tonight's the night. Tonight is the night that you need to get yourself right with God. God loves you. If he didn't love you, he wouldn't care about how many hairs you got on top of your head. If God didn't love you, you wouldn't be here tonight. If God didn't love you, your parents wouldn't have seen that you had the opportunity to be here tonight. I want to close with this. Brother Chris and I, last year, after DNOW weekend, we were just so heavy-hearted. We were just burdened to the point where I didn't know if we were going to do enough DNOW, to be honest with you. Because we both wanted it to be where money was not an issue for you guys to come. Your churches, a lot of your churches either donated stuff or they donated $100 to help our two churches kind of offset some of the costs. I'm going to tell you that to say, look at us. I tell you that only for this reason and this reason alone. If we didn't love you, if your churches didn't love you, to that point that we were so broke, so broken down that we just wanted to make sure that any kid, regardless of financial means, could be here tonight. Did you hear me? I don't know if somebody just cut an arm off. All I can tell you is this. Hey, listen up. God just thumped somebody in the head. it didn't hurt as bad as it did me, all right? Let's get it back together, guys. Listen, we love you guys. We want to be here for you guys. More importantly, we want this weekend to matter to you. We want this weekend to matter to you. I tell you my testimony to tell you this one thing. If it wasn't by God's grace, I wouldn't be standing in front of you this evening. I don't do that. I don't say that to pat myself on the back. Do not misunderstand me. I do not want you to misunderstand me. God's got a purpose. Because if God didn't have a purpose for my life, I would have died in 1988. My tombstone would have read, Jeffrey and Hesley, born November 20th, 1964, died August 23rd, 1988. My wife wouldn't be here right now. She'd be with flowers on my tombstone. God had a plan. God had a plan. What's His plan for your life? Have you thought about that? Have you really thought about what God's got a plan for you in your life? Don't sit there and say, well, God can't use me. God can use a toothpaste water, He can use anybody. You understand that? If He can clean this up, He can clean anything up. What's He going to be? Let's stand up. Every head bowed, every eye closed.